He wanted his land back and he wanted justice for the fraud. But here, that's where things got really strange. The judge still had one thing left to address: the financial restitution. She wasn't done punishing the HOA. And finally, the court finds the defendants jointly and severally liable for damages. The court hereby awards the plaintiff the sum of $30 million in punitive and compensatory damages from the HOA and the developer, payable immediately. $30 million. That was the punchline. John had just won the land, all the homes, and a massive cash judgment. The revenge was complete. But how exactly do you collect a $30 million verdict from an empty HOA account and a bankrupt developer? The court had emptied, but the drama was far from over. John sat in the conference room with his attorney, the heavy silence broken only by the scratch of a pen on paper. Outside, chaos reigned as the 96 homeowners tried to process the fact that they legally owned nothing. John owned their homes. John owned their roads. John owned their $30 million. "John," his lawyer said, stacking the judgment papers, "you are now one of the wealthiest men in this county. Ms. Thorne is facing multiple fraud charges and the developer is bankrupt. We have the legal right to evict those 96 people tomorrow and seize their assets to satisfy the judgment." John, the historian, closed his eyes. He wasn't a corporate predator. He was a man who cared about truth and land rights. He wasn't trying to punish the victims of Ms. Thorne's greed. He was trying to stop the greed itself. He looked at his lawyer and outlined his final, incredible plan. The Grand Peaks Truce. John's first move was to execute the judgment against the HOA and the developer, not the individual homeowners. He immediately seized every asset belonging to the Grand Peaks Preserve HOA, their bank accounts, their corporate vehicles, and every last piece of heavy construction equipment sitting idle on his land. It was a spectacular sweep that paid down a fraction of the $30 million judgment, but it effectively dissolved Ms. Thorne's fraudulent organization overnight. Next, John did the unimaginable. He called a town hall meeting with the 96 terrified homeowners. The meeting was tense. People were crying, demanding to know if he was going to auction their houses. John stood before them, not as an adversary, but as the new landlord. "I am not here to profit from your loss," John stated, his voice ringing with conviction. "You are victims of the same criminal fraud as I am. You put your faith and your money in a corrupt organization. I am the rightful owner of this land and these homes, but I will not evict you." He then unveiled his Grand Peaks Truce. The deal. John offered to sell the land and the homes back to the current homeowners for the exact price the land was worth before construction started. This wiped out the massive, inflated price tag they had paid to the fraudulent developer. The forgiveness. He announced that all of the outstanding, fraudulent HOA fines against his cabin, now a total of over $2 million, were null and void, and he would forgive any personal debt those homeowners owed the now dissolved HOA. The catch and the justice. The homeowners had to agree to join John's new community, the Alara Preserve. They would pay John a modest, temporary land lease for the next 2 years, allowing him to secure proper rezoning and transfer the land legally. This arrangement would compensate him for the land's original value without bleeding the homeowners dry. The homeowners realized they weren't being ruined. They were being saved. They would get to keep their houses, and they would own them based on a fair, uninflated value. John's deal essentially forced them to take a financial hit on the stolen land's original value, but it prevented them from losing their homes and their entire down payments.